Well, hello, Amy. It's been a while.
It has been
Yeah,
a while for us, not as long for me.
yeah. You're stable here now. My black is fading in my green screen. I got to fix that. All right. Why don't you talk to us about who our guest is today and bring him
Oh,
in?
okay. I will definitely bring him in. So please welcome Ryan.
Hey guys,
Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
good. It's
And he
snowing
is,
outside, so doing well.
yeah,
Yeah, we don't get that till tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, we won't get snow, but we'll get rain. But our other places around us will get the snow.
because he's
Nice.
in California.
Oh, where about?
Modesto.
Okay, yeah, I'm from like Brentwood, Antioch area, so
Okay. Yeah, we have. Do you know where Pinecrest is?
absolutely.
We have a cabin in Cold Spring right below there, 5,200 altitude, so it'll get some snow out of this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we have 32 acres in Twain Harte. But enough about me.
I was going to say, I thought you said you weren't going to talk so much.
Well, I'm getting out now, and you're going to take over.
There you go.
All right, sure. Famous last words. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so Ryan, what we always, or what I like to ask everybody who's on is why you chose the service you chose.
Ooh.
And what service is that? Since we don't
Yes.
know yet, the rest of us don't know. Amy does.
So
Here,
that's
I'm gonna make-
that's kind of a loaded question. Everybody that knows me in the Army is gonna get mad at me.
So you were in the Army?
Yeah, yeah. I served the better part of 11 years in the active Army, and then I'm finishing out my time in the reserves because I wanted to prioritize my team and what we do here at Rally Point Properties, and just kind of take the part-time helping veterans find homes, utilizing their benefits, and the full-time active duty mindset, and just flop them. So, but to answer your question, I initially was going to go and try be a CB in the Navy.
Well, that's fun.
And it took forever. No, let me rephrase that. I was trying to do SWIC, and I passed the aptitude test, the PT test. And then for whatever reason in 2010, they just had me sitting for way too long before they could offer me a job. Got irritated, went over to the Marines, see what they could do. They couldn't do anything because I had a couple tattoos on my hands. And I just got kind of impatient and walked over to the Army, and I was like, when can you get me out of here? And he was like, how's next week? And I was like, sounds amazing. So then I signed up as a 19 Delta and went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and the rest is history.
Sounds to me like you just said that Army takes anybody. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
My son's airborne.
All walks of life.
My son's an airborne medic up in Alaska. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he's coming down to where you are next year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A little bit of a climate change, but he'll like it down here. There's lots to do.
He's done with that much snow up in Anchorage. Yeah.
And that much lack of sunlight.
Yeah, but he liked that originally,
Oh, did he?
because in the summer, in the summer so much, they're up so much, and then the winter, I couldn't handle it. We were up there one Christmas, and we're like, or I should just say December, and it's like, oh, it must be like 7 o'clock in the morning. What do you mean 10 a.m.?
Yeah. It's like going to Vegas and like walking out and it's being like 9 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh man.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like, oh, what time is it? It's 3:30 in the afternoon and it's dark. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would throw me.
It was too much. And then we were up there during the summer, and it's like, okay, it must be 7 o'clock in the evening. It's like, no, it's 11:30, almost midnight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
So
enough
his
about.
son is going to be stationed at JBLM in June.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
As long as something doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always, plan A, right? And
Right.
then
Yeah.
plan
You never
M
know.
is what happens.
Yeah. You never know. We could have some country do something here recently, and then all things will change.
Well, that's another factor too.
Yeah.
Always.
Always. All right. So for people who don't understand what your what we call MOS, what did you do in the Army?
Yeah. So when I went in the Army, I was a 19 Delta, which is a cavalry scout. Basically, they deal with reconnaissance, small teams. They can be attached to infantry battalions. Basically, their job is to go ahead and just be the eyes and ears on the battlefield is what their tagline is, right? It's a lot of like sitting, reporting, and then you can also be utilized as small fire teams, kind of like, I don't want to be like, want to boast, but it's kind of like a jack of all trades, like MOS. Like you kind of get like just thrown into wherever you can fit in, kind of thing. Like you have armored cav, and then you can be light cav, which really isn't light at all. It's you carrying around all your shit. So so that's that. And then I got injured, and our MOS got overstrengthed by way of the tankers. We no longer were using them in Afghanistan, and then they all flooded our MOS because it was 19 series. They were 19 kilo. We were Delta, and because I wasn't promotable at the time, and because of my injury, they were like, "Hey, you can either get out or change your MOS." So I initially joined the military to get some schooling in the medical field. And so I just jumped in and became a 68 Charlie, which is a licensed practical nurse. Got my nursing license for free with the Army, which is pretty cool. And so that's what I am right now, is a 68 Charlie.
So I always thought you were in the medical field, so I was surprised when you started talking about what you initially were.
Yeah.
I also want to say that we didn't know, and we've never talked about it. I was a CB in the Navy Reserves at
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a steel worker.
Yeah, I had two best friends that joined and were wanting to be CBs, and I had always wanted to do SWIC. And then when SWIC wasn't on the table, I tried to be a CB. And
what's SWIC?
SWIC is, I forget the acronym, but basically they operate the small boats that they take the SEALs in on.
Okay.
They're the operators.
I was in the Navy. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I was only I was
really in the Navy.
Yeah, I was technically in the Navy. I only visited 2 people on a ship, and I was telling people today, I don't remember what the freaking salute or how to ask for permission to come aboard. That's not me. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton with the Marines, so I was a little different.
Yeah, a little bit different, right?
Yeah. I was like MASH. It was. That's how we were. So.
That's cool. So yeah, so that's just that was my MOSs. And
so did you did 2 years to get your LVN, right?
No, that is nursing at gunpoint, my friend. That is like you miss a test. Like these people in the civilian sector, they're like, oh my gosh, nursing programs are hard. Yeah, but you don't get fired if you if you miss a test. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a lot of anatomy and physiology, and it's all crammed into 13 months.
Okay.
So it's didactics, it's your clinicals, and they take somebody who doesn't know anything about science and nursing science, and then they cram all that in 13 months and produce a nurse.
So when I was in, that's how it was in the Navy. You were not LVN. You had to get a couple more things to become a nurse, right? On the outside.
Identifier?
Huh?
Was it like an identifier?
Yeah. So basically, and I was in under physical therapy on top of that. So I went as a corpsman, then I went to physical therapy school. So I knew everything you could. And I was like, I don't want to do this when I get out. You know what I mean? After I did it all. So the only reason I became physical therapy is when it was time for me to transfer to my next thing. They said, you either go to a ship or a specialty school. And I said, what specialty is not on a ship? And they said physical therapy. And I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Sold.
Yep.
My question is, so in the reserves, are you using nursing? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So right now, my position in my unit, and I'm part of the 355th Medical Detachment here on JBLM. Right now, I'm the NCOIC of the specialty clinics, and that's like your dentists, your labs, like your X-ray techs and things like that. Just like small little clinics that we would put up inside of a cache, which is a combat support hospital. So that's what my position is right now. So right now, because of my rank, no, I don't use bedside nursing. But I still am expected to keep up with my continuing education on that and keep my nursing license current. But right now, currently, no. But with my experience that I had when I was active duty as the NCOIC of the PACU, which is the post anesthesia care unit, and anybody who comes out of surgery, it kind of teaches you how to run a ward and do the logistical side of things, and run around schedules and manpower and make sure that everything flows correctly. And you're kind of like you're just in charge of that area, logistically and stuff. That kind of bridged me over to take this position. And this is a new unit. They've only been stood up for maybe a year and some change. So it's interesting to see coming from active duty, going to like the reserve side of things, which has got a reputation from being like the bad news bears of the military, and then to also have the factor that like it's a newer unit. So it's just kind of an interesting situation to be in, where when you go to a unit, usually things are set forth and everyone has a procedure for something, and it's just, oh, you're doing this, you have to go to this checklist and do these things. Here it's like, do we have a checklist for this? We should make one, probably. You know what I mean? So it's kind of,
Okay, so
we're
when
building
you
the cars, we drive
transitioned,
it.
so as you've transitioned from active duty to reserve, did you do any TAPS programs, or
Yeah.
did you find any of it useful?
Yes, I had some mistakes too in my my process, and mine was kind of unique in the sense that I had some personal things happen in my life during the time of my transition, and I'll share them with you guys. But where I messed up was they tell you to make a plan when you get out of the military. Don't get out without a plan, right? That's kind of like the common thing that they really drill into your head. So I made a plan, and I was very sure of my plan and didn't want to hear anything else other than the fact that I had a plan, and I already had a business that was established, that was going well, and it was local. So there was no like giant move. And they listened and didn't offer any kind of other advice on how to do certain paperwork for things. And they kind of acted like I had it figured out, because my personality, or I guess what I was giving off, was that I did have it figured out. And so like looking back, there were some things that I had to figure out for myself, and I didn't use the resources that were provided for me, because I was kind of like, oh, it's fine. I already got my job. I know what I'm doing. I'll just, do this process and check the block, kind of a thing. And so like looking back on that, I probably should have, shut up and just gone through the motions and done their process. And I probably would have had a little bit smoother transition. Are you okay, Amy?
She just has sound over there. That's why she keeps muting.
Right, because my whole family is here.
Oh, no worries.
She doesn't have her own special studio yet.
Oh, me neither. It's cool. We'll be together. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I love what you're sharing, so I want you to share it entirely.
No worries. So yeah, that would be my coaching moment to anybody who is getting out or about to get out, is even if you have it figured out, hear them out. Hear what the TAPS program has to say and what they have to offer, because they could have something else or a different angle or be able to make what your situation is maybe a little bit better based on their resources and allocation of resources. So like that would be my advice, I guess, if I were to be in a position to even give any advice. That would be from my learning experience on transitioning. It would be to definitely hear them out, and don't think it's just like a block that needs to be checked, even if you already have a business like I did, and a business plan like I did, because I got put on the entrepreneurial track for TAPS. Does that answer your question?
It does. But let's dive into that. Like in the entrepreneurial track, did they teach you anything, or did you feel because you had your plan that you already knew even everything there?
Because what I heard was he told everybody he knew what he was doing, and they stayed away from him because they thought he had it. So they went and worked with other people who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, kind of like
helping him. That's kind of what I heard.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of how it kind of went down. But a lot of it was like reaffirming that me and Amber had everything dialed. They would ask me questions on like, okay, where's your business plan? How long do you project, this, that, okay, you're going into sales. So do you know what that looks like? And granted, their questions were elementary questions. We had already been in operations for maybe 3.5 years by the time I was transitioning out. So it just kind of was like a pat on the back, in the sense that like, okay, great. No, we have these things. And I was checking the blocks as they were asking for these items as far as a plan. But when it came time to do like my VA disability and like other things, like I just was like, oh, I'm good. I'll just figure it out. Don't worry about it, and there was also my unit too, wasn't really giving me time to go and prioritize that, because that was when I was transitioning out, was still in the heat of COVID, and I was working at a hospital in a pre-anesthesia unit. So they needed somebody there, and then no one was there to do a left seat, right seat with me until 5 days before I was actually signing my DD 214. So, and that was like a get in, get hot. Here's how your left and right limits. And then I'm out. Bye. I'll sign over the equipment and later, because of the time that it just allotted and what was going on. But also too, the extenuating circumstances I was talking about was, I had a baby maybe 2 months before I was supposed to start clearing. And so I went on a bunch of leave. And so I transitioned going from 1 to 2 kids. And then our business took a facelift, because we had separated ourselves from a business partner at that time. And so we had a giant change in the business that summer. We were acclimating to a second child. We were moving to a new house, and all at the same time. Like, this was all happening at the same time. So to say that I had a time to focus solely on my transition was probably not accurate at all. Looking back, I kind of was like, wow, that kind of just went by super fast. And like, I didn't even really get to feel the emotion of transitioning until like 6 months later, where I was like, damn, like I'm out now. Like, this is like, I am done with active duty and all the emotions that come in with that. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a unique situation in the way it happened. It wasn't like your textbook, like, okay, you plan for this. This is how this is going. It's like, all right, I'm going to start transitioning out. And then all these different life events happen. So what my advice would be to anybody would be that prepare for life events to take place as much as you can, and put things in motion and research things that you're going to do when it comes time to transition, and the process of that, so that you're not scrambling in case other priorities in life take precedence.
So what you're saying is, don't have a baby a month or 2 months before you
transition.
transition.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, plan that out if you could.
Hey, that's how it happened to me. My one son came April 21st, and I got out May 12th.
Oh, solid. Yeah. Okay. So same.
Yeah, it was one of those, is it coming, or are we going to be out when it comes?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah. Is TRICARE going to pay for this, or are we?
Yeah. It happened while we were in, so it should still be covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you get all your disability stuff taken care of, though? Did you go through a different service for that?
Yeah. I got that done while I was in.
Because you were saying you didn't have much time because of COVID, so I just didn't know if you.
Yeah. Well, it was all rushed, and I didn't have time. Like, I had to cancel a lot of appointments and reschedule because we were short manpower and my unit needed me. But then there's that dichotomy of like, okay, you need to let someone be able to transition so that they can make sure that they set themselves up for after they're gone. Because, the Army goes rolling along, right? So, they're just going to continue mission, and that person's not going to be set up for success. But just because they know what they're doing and they've come and done the day-to-day, it's easier to press on that person till you can't anymore than throw a new person in earlier, because that new person is coming from also another place that they don't want to let go of, especially in a hospital that's hemorrhaging personnel, and the transition over from DHA or from where it was. And there was just a lot of different moving parts that were coming in on top of all the extra stressors logistically and and personnel wise with like COVID and how that affected businesses and the military hospital.
So what do you do now?
Now I do real estate.
What'd you do then? Real estate, right?
Yeah. So now,
did you have another work question there, Amy? I'm sorry.
No, actually, I was going to say his wife actually sold me my house.
Yeah.
And so, so I've watched them, just as being a part of their community and stuff like that. And I've enjoyed some of the fun things that they do.
She was a listing agent or the buyer's agent?
She was the buyer agent.
Okay, so she helped you buy your house?
Yes. What'd I say?
I help you sell, so that she sold you your house.
Oh, okay.
It's so
She helped
impersonal.
me buy my house. You're
It's
right.
so impersonal. She helped you buy your home.
It's because he's a mortgage loan officer that he has to, have to be specific. For the rest of the world, not in the mortgage and real estate industry, it wouldn't have mattered. But
Well, I learned when I first got in, I was talking to somebody on the phone, which I sold 18 years by the phone. And I'm a vet and I do a lot of VA loans. But I asked one lady, do you work? And she gave me an earful because she took care of the kids at home. And so then I learned how to say, do you work outside the home?
Yeah. Do you collect a W-2?
Do you work outside the home? I mean, you do a couple things a few times and you learn what to say after that. So.
Absolutely. You got to put your foot in your mouth once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So when you were getting out, you guys had a team, your own team, you and your wife was a team. And that's what you've been growing for the last few years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how long you been in real estate?
Me, myself, I've been in since 2000 and I've had my license in 17, but I've been actively in it since 2019 by taking clients and showing things. Before I was just helping on the back end, just whatever the wife needed kind of thing. But she's been in for almost 12 years now, 11 years. And she started in Fort Campbell, Kentucky at our first duty station, just by helping out with transaction coordinating. Over at a brokerage doing short sales for a couple veterans there out at Campbell. And then when we eventually came over to JBLM in Washington, I was in Korea and she was like, "Hey, I'm going to be an agent and we're going to buy a house." And I was like, yes. And if you know anything about my wife's personality, it's very much like, this is what's happening. And
that's always
the crazy Italian woman. So
yeah. Well, happy wife, happy life. Once you learn that, you just move on. Just
words to survive by.
Yes.
But yeah. So since 2019, I'd say actively.
Yeah, and is it what you plan? So what's the name of your company? I know it's on your hat, right?
Rally Point Properties is the name of our team. And we're a small team that, our main niche is like first-time home buyers and educating veterans on how to utilize their benefit and to not only create wealth, but also, create passive income and share our story. We bought 3 homes in the matter of 5 years. And that was while I was in, just rolling over equity and using our VA loan more than once. So we actually have an investors class coming up on January 5th, I believe the date is, in the Yum Community Center. And that's going to be an investors class on how to utilize your loan more than once, how to become a VA investor. There's going to be a CPA there, a tax person there, a lender there, a property manager, and a couple other entities that's probably escaping me right now. So, but they're all going to have their chance to talk, kind of pick your brain, or have people pick their brain about the situation on how to have, rentals and passive income and what the benefits are and what the downsides are, and make sure that they can weigh their own options that way. And then we also have a couple boot camps for first-time home buyers that want to learn how to use their VA loan and get educated on the loan coming up here too. I think we're offering them once quarterly, and the first one for the first quarter is going to be on the 11th in Puyallup Ram at the banquet little area that's in that Ram. And that's going to start at from 5 to 7:30 or 5:30 to 7:30.
My book comes out next year, by the way, if you need it. It's called Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Home Ownership. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But because you're telling me about what your gets, I would start doing live webinars instead of having people come And I know it's great. Everybody wants that. You get so many more people on the webinars and you can help them so much more. And it's you're from your house. I'm just telling you what I've learned doing what I do now is doing that as a first-time home buyer for vet. They can do it while they're at home. They don't have to come. They got kids. It's hard to bring the kids. They don't want to deal with that and can focus. It's worked really well for me down here. I would recommend doing something like that up there.
Do you feel like you lose? This is good. I would love to talk about this. Do you feel like you lose a personal aspect of it?
Live webinar, you can see everybody on it and talk to them, and they can ask
I
every question.
I'm talking about like after the fact, because like normally we break it up and have a Q&A and people come to you with their intricate questions, and you just have that like you're face to face with someone talking to them about, and these are like leads that you bring in are potential clients that are just trying to get educated and talk to you about their specific situations. Do you feel like you lose that after you culminate your webinar?
You're going to have a few of those, but I mean, most of the time everybody has the questions they have is what other people have. There's no difference. But if they want to ask a personal question, they can ask it directly to you in the chat and say, can you answer me afterwards? They can say, is this a personal? I've not had anybody who didn't ask a question with everybody else, because and I guys tell people there's no stupid questions here because you guys have no idea what we're doing. So
it's one of those daunting adulting
right.
Things that people they listen to people who bought 30 years ago, or they listen to people who bought in a different climate, and it's just all this their process that is a giant financial decision. And
not only that, because not only the young people with VA loans, the people have had their VA for 15 years or 10 years. It's a totally different loan now. It's not the same loan. There's no non-allowables anymore. There's no I don't know where it is with you guys, but we can have them pay for pests now down here, where before you couldn't.
Oh, Washington, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's okay. Just do the short form.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about? The short form.
Double check on that to get that form in front of me, but I want actually for pest inspection.
Well, no, the pest inspection, yes, but the actual pest work now they just passed it to where if you're in some of the southern places that have active termite issues, like California, the vet can actually pay for any repair you want to do through the transaction.
I know that in the state of in Washington that we've had pest companies, that the seller has paid for treat and crawl and rip.
I know, but I'm saying, but sometimes it's a deal killer during the booming times where go, we're not going to take a VA loan because they have to take it. No, now they can pay for it themselves, or you just do the short form that's allowed through VA that just says there's no active pests and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, so, absolutely. You're
talking about
making
we can turn this back.
This is important stuff about veterans. Move on.
It is.
Yeah. And people don't know their what they can do with their VA loan, and it's 17% of the market is VA loans.
Yeah, it's underutilized. And just to kind of my last comment on the different people and the lack of education that's out there. You also have that older veteran that for some reason thinks he doesn't get to use his VA loan because he wasn't in long enough, or because he served in a certain area, or and those were older rules back then that have slowly gone away with, and as the VA loan's kind of like taken its transformation, because if you look at the history of the VA loan and where it started, it's pretty long. Mm-hmm. It's huge, and where it's come from and where it is now. And so it's just exciting to talk to people and just show them the facts, show them the requirements that are now, and just watch them light up and be like, wow, so I can use this. Absolutely you can.
And also one thing, a lot of vets go, I don't want to use it. I want to let everybody else have it because I don't want to take from it. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's your benefit.
Yes, absolutely.
Amy, say about this?
Save it for somebody who needs it. Yeah. You need it.
That's right.
So
yeah, because I did a documentary that I was part of called Hacking Real Estate, and it's Hacking Real Estate series. It was done through the people in LA that Dan Fleshman's group, the Avengers, and I just had a guy, and this is what's important. It's not about me, but he reached out after watching my part of it, where I talked for an hour about what you should do with buying homes and the whole things, and why we're not going to have this huge bubble that everybody thinks we're going to have. And he's 66 years old. And he reached out to buy his first home.
Yeah, no, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
All right, Amy, what do you got? You're like, would you shut up?
No, she's like, okay, how did you feel? What else would you change differently when you were part of? Would you do anything different?
Screw you. Screw you. I'm just saying,
That's what she's saying. She wants to know.
Okay.
What was the first thing you stopped doing when you got out?
Yeah, when you left post, what was the first
Okay, no, that's a serious question. What do you no longer do because you're not active duty?
I was talking to a cop today and asked him his address, and he starts doing phonetics. I said that was the first thing I gave up when I got out. Yeah. Right, Oscar, David. I don't do that. And 1300, no, it's 1 o'clock. That's what I do now. So.
Yeah, I wish I could give that up. That's seared into my brain from being a 19 Delta. So it's one of those things that's never.
I was in the Navy, dude. I was like I told you, it was like MASH. We just had a good old time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Amy, what do you got?
Okay. Or what do you do for mental health? Like as we normalize mental health, are you a part of any program that helps you unpack your service, whether it be MVP or any groups? That was super sly.
Yeah, we didn't see her at all.
No, that was we have an infestation of redheaded rats that they're huge. They're out in Graham, they're just giant. That's a great question, and it's great that you asked that. I just got involved in. I didn't just get involved. I've been involved, but I'm taking a more conscious and intentional approach to this group, and it's called Warriors Breaking Bread. It's a group that meets. They try to meet once a month, but the whole ideology behind it is, and they meet at Ricardo's in Lacey, so it's kind of nice. You get a nice little steak. You talk about your emotions. It's great, but it's like it's a group of people, and the whole ideology behind it is like that's your campfire, that's your safe space. So like. You can't talk about, PTSD or losing friends in gruesome ways at family barbecues, right? Because that's not the place where you can unpack that. And so that's kind of like a way and an area that people honestly look forward to when they share in the group, for people to dedicate, the dinner to someone that they've lost or something that they're thinking of on that scale. And you just sharing stories. And a lot of times there's a guest there that will do some kind of like song as far as like playing the violin or some kind of instrument or storytelling. And it's just it's led by some people, by guests at sometimes, but then other times it's self-led by the group and just where that goes. And then, dinner comes out and it's cool because they ask the restaurant not to serve us. And we just kind of do it family style, and people get up, grab whatever it is. And then we serve each other, because it's like a family kind of a setting. And it's a very powerful, very mentally draining night, but I feel way better after I unpack, that even if it's a repetitive thing that I'm still dealing with, it's just that's been a saving grace for me for the last, I think, 6 or 7 months per se. So that packaged with, exercise and making sure that, I'm trying to get enough sleep, because sleep seems to be the thing that escapes us all in this industry. There's never enough hours in the day, kind of a thing, especially with a 1 and 3-year-old. So does that answer your question? I know it's kind of rambling there, but that's
no, it was perfect. Like I go to MVP, so I mean,
yeah.
And Ed runs by himself, maybe with a dog.
I don't run.
Weirdo.
Yeah, run. 260 pounds. There's no way this body's running.
He's like, I gave up running along the phonetic.
I lift and I do other stuff, but I do not run.
That's cool.
Gave that up. I'll rather ride a bike, and I'm talking like a cyclist, not run. Yeah, that was the one thing when I did triathlons I hated. It was the run. Give me the bike and the swim. I'll destroy you on it, but the run, I just hated it. So, yeah. But
no, that's good.
And I made it smaller because you were having some Wi-Fi issues. You were sticking.
Oh, me?
Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you guys hear what I said?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So basically, anything else you want to ask Amy? Because, we went off on our own tangent and you were all sitting over there. I got all these questions to ask.
Yeah, let's go. Rapid fire.
No, I thought that was good. I'm glad that you made the time. I know it was kind of random. I was at their Christmas thing and I'm like, Ryan, you should be on my podcast.
Yeah, you should
He's
do
like,
Send
you
it.
have a podcast?
Yeah.
Only for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm glad to be on here. Anything you guys want to ask or talk about, I'm down.
Yeah, our biggest thing is there's just so many silos that keep vets from connecting through other things because this nonprofit overlaps this nonprofit, and they're like, we can't help each other because we overlap. It's like that's not how it's supposed to be. So our goal is just to get the information out there so people can find what they need, and that's all we want to do. So
no, that's a great service that you guys are, and a great goal that you guys are trying to tackle. Because shoot, we were just talking. I had about 40 veterans in one room last night, sitting around talking and just kind of like scoffing at the fact that you literally have to put your nose to the pavement and seek out veteran associations that fit what you want to get out of a veteran association. There's not like a yellow pages for veteran associations. People have tried. People try to consolidate them to where that you can kind of thumb through and see what you want to be a part of. But you have to, it's so many pop up and so many, you have to just kind of see and dig and network to spread the word about whatever it is and whatever organization that you have, because somewhere there's a vet sitting on a couch that needs exactly what you're offering.
Right.
And it's just a shame that like the publicity of it all is just lackluster, I guess, at best. And so when you look at the veteran population as a whole, I just feel like we all could do a better job at spreading the word of different things. And I know that we all try, but that's just something that was talked about last night.
Yeah, and you got to also remember for many, many years, like 60 years, there was no way to get that information out except for a phone book.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So it's only been in the last 20 plus years that it's much easier to find stuff. So, thanks to Al Gore.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's cool. The Warriors Breaking Bread. I'll because I have a meeting tonight with other veteran service organizations, and I'll bring it up.
And that's the first time I ever heard of that one.
First time ever heard of it. But I will tell you, I probably wouldn't have necessarily gone. I'm not a singer.
No, you don't have to sing.
No,
you don't have to sing. You sit and somebody else sings a song that's like, if they're like a guest that comes to sing, like it's not
one of the people.
It's not like, hey, who's new? All right, you go in the middle and sing.
Yeah, karaoke night.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a newer group, and it's put on, I believe, by a lot of the guys that are attached to first group, and it was meant for a way for them to talk about mental health in a safe space, away from base, and just have a comfortable conversation about things that have happened on deployment, things that people are currently dealing with, mental health, marriage, relationships, things along that nature. And then it caught on, and they moved from like a little room that seats maybe 8 to the giant banquet room that you can sit up to roughly 40, 45. And I think the reason why I like it so much is because it doesn't ever get bigger than that. Which makes it kind of, I'm going to use the word intimate, in like the night and how special everything is, and sharing and you're not like, there's not a lot of sidebars going on, and everyone's kind of just like zoned in on whoever's talking. And it's just kind of nice to be heard in that sense by people who understand or have been in some similar situations, who can kind of get a shred of empathy towards what you're talking about.
Hey, does anybody have anybody who was December 7th? Anybody know anybody that was Pearl Harbor?
Oh,
I need somebody for next week on my radio show. I just remembered.
And you need somebody from Pearl Harbor?
I would like to get somebody who didn't have to.
Where?
well, if you had somebody who was in during that period of time, or that whole as a vet, because which is very hard because that was a long time ago, and a lot of them aren't around. So
I could ask a friend. I
wanted Pearl Harbor's next week, so December 7th.
No, it is.
And so I was trying to honor that because I do a radio show here locally on which is about real estate and finance, but I bring in other people about community. So
would know someone.
Lisa, the other Lisa, are connected through Steve. I'll reach out to her.
But I can ask the VFW in Puyallup because
I got a lot of Vietnam vets, but I don't. That one's older, so. Not me. I just have people I know that are like I can do my stepdad. He's a vet, Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah. My uncles, they were all Air Force, Chair Force. So
yeah, I got some Chair Force uncles as well.
Yeah.
I do too.
B-52 bomber pilots. And they never let you forget it.
That's because you guys are connected to them. Navy, Marine, we're connected, but you guys are connected. So there's a difference.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I appreciate being on.
We thank you for being on and sharing your story.
Yeah. You got anything else for me, Amy?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll catch you guys later.
And then don't forget, don't leave. We gotta hang up, and then you can go close it out. But if you need help with anything, reach out to Amy. She's good at a lot of stuff. I don't know what, but a lot of stuff. So she's a volunteer-holic, so she knows somebody who can help you in any way you need.
That's perfect. We have some big things that we're trying to get off the ground over here. So I'll definitely team up and try and mastermind with you, Amy.
Sure.
And then when my son gets there next year, you guys got to look out for him. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I want to thank both of you for being here today. Amy, thank you so much. Ryan, thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
if you like what we do here, just like we say, subscribe and let people know. All right. Make it a great day.
See you guys.